Hello, everybody, and welcome to an impromptu edition of Arglefumph Talk. I've got a stream here. People are actually asking me questions live, so I'm going to answer these questions as they come in. So the longest Nancy Drew game I've ever played is Shadow at the Water's Edge. I will ask the question when responding to the question. So that question came from Deborah. People want to know if I will play Nancy Drew number 30, the Shattered Medallion, when it comes out. Yes, I will. If I had to name a Nancy Drew character, what would that name be? How about Golfy McGolferson? He can be a character in Nancy Drew, Secret of the Old Clock. Very nice. Nancy Drew crossovers. Now, Nancy Drew has done a lot of crossovers with the Hardy Boys. Here's something I just noticed the other day. The Nancy Drew Hardy Boys Super Mysteries are actually super mysteries, in that they are longer. They're about 30 pages longer on average than your normal Nancy Drew book or your normal Hardy Boys book. So I think it's kind of nice. I like those crossovers. There has been, say, a crossover with Nancy Drew and the Dana twins, I believe, the Dana Girls, which was another series written by Carolyn Keene but was not as popular. So she crossed over her Nancy Drew character with her other characters. Do I imagine myself as Nancy even though I'm a guy? No, I've never imagined Nancy as, like, me just with a bra. Sorry, I've never imagined Nancy as the female version of myself. My favorite Pixar movie? Let's go with Toy Story 2 or something like that. Pixar recently announced that they're making Incredibles 2. I wasn't a huge fan of Incredibles. It was a good, solid movie, but that was the last Pixar movie I saw, and then I had a chunk of, 6 years where I didn't see any Pixar movies after that. So, what other questions? I thought I had a question here. Oh, here we go. Here's the question I was looking for. BB is wondering why I cut my hair. Let me talk about that. I had a haircut disaster, and so I had to shave my entire head in order to make up for the fact. Basically, the person shaved this part of my hair. This part. That part. And so I wasn't going to walk around with shaved sides and a full head of hair on top, so I had them shave the entire thing. My hair is growing back. It is growing back. And the beard I'm growing is because it's the playoff season. It's just a sports thing. I grow a playoff beard every spring to help the teams which are going to the playoffs. More questions. Am I going to have a snack? Snacks are delicious. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Jessica. I don't know who else. Get back to the earlier question of Nancy Drew crossovers. Who else can she do a crossover with besides the Hardy Boys? Not Sherlock Holmes, because he's sort of completely separated from Nancy by at least 20 years. I mean, even 1930s Nancy. Agatha Christie, maybe. When did the Agatha Christie books? I guess there were some which came out at the same time as Nancy Drew, so maybe. I just don't really see Nancy teaming up with a British person. What do I think of the Nancy Drew games? Megan is asking about Nancy Drew games where villains come back. It happened in one Nancy Drew game. We had a repeat villain. I'm not going to spoil it, but that was nice. I liked it. I thought it was fun. But besides for that, nah, I guess not too much to recommend the game. I really did love seeing that one villain return. Oh, Fritz is asking, would I like to see a game based off Nancy Drew Hardy Boy's Operation Titanic, which was a horrible. It was a horrible book. I wouldn't want to see a game, and the reason why is because Nancy's basically not in the book. She's basically non-essential. So what we have is they have one scene with Nancy, and then 3 chapters later they resolve that scene with Nancy. And it's resolved with like 2 sentences. Yeah, it was just bad. It was badly done. It was badly done. Also with Nancy Drew book reviews, I'm doing some Nancy Drew book reviews right now. I'm going to finish the Nancy Drew Diaries series first. That's what I'm doing. That's the modern series. It was started in 2013. So that's why I'm doing it. I'm getting through that series because there are only 5 books in the series, as opposed to, say, doing the Nancy Drew yellow hardcover books, because that series has at least 150 books in it. So I thought I would just finish the short series first because I can finish that series. Do I like Frozen? Frozen is an okay movie. I don't mind Frozen. I think it's sort of like Brave in that people are talking it up a little bit more than it deserves to be talked up. I'm not sure if that's going to happen in the future. Because that's what happened with The Little Mermaid when it came out in the 80s. Everybody was super excited about it and they said it was great. It's the best movie ever, da 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 da. And now, 20, 30 years later, people sort of look at it. It's like, it's good, but they're nowhere near as excited about it as they were when it came out. I have the feeling that the same thing is going to happen with Brave and Frozen. That, 30 years from now, people are going to be less enthusiastic about it. Superhero. Let's go with Superman. I always liked Superman. I haven't seen any of the new Superman movies. And Lena is asking what made me start playing Nancy Drew games. Basically, I was bored and I wanted to play games. And the Nancy Drew games were at my computer. They were at my local library, so I could play the Nancy Drew games and didn't have to pay for them. That was the main thing. The other games they had available at the library are mostly children's games, like, Putt Putt Saves the Zoo, or Johnny the Squirrel Learns How to Do Typing. So it's like, ugh, no, give me a mystery game. Much more questions. Much more questions. Do I like the Professor Layton series? Pretty good. Yeah, I like the Professor Layton series. I haven't gotten around to starting game number 6, which is sadly the final game. My favorite snack? I really like nachos with cheese, but cheeseburgers are good. I guess I just like cheese. Is there something like a nacho cheeseburger? Because that would be like both things combined. If I could make a Nancy Drew game or book, let's go with book. Basically, I think I would run out of ideas for Nancy Drew books after like about 3 books, and then what I would do is I would start rehashing old books. I would take storylines from other books. So like with Secret of Shadow Ranch, we've got 2 versions of Secret of Shadow Ranch. I would write a story which is based off the original version of Secret of Shadow Ranch. I think that could be interesting. Not a lot of people have read the original version of Shadow Ranch. More people are familiar with the second version, which has a Dirk Valentine and that storyline, totally nowhere in the original. So that's sort of what I would do. I would take like these older Nancy Drew books, these ones that have already been written, and I would try to make them better. With the books that are bad, I would figure out a way to improve them or make them better, and that's what I would do with writing the books. Now with the games, sometimes they put things in the games, they change it from the book to the game. Sometimes I think their decisions are good, sometimes they're not so good, but I can accept them because the game is different from a book. So, have I read the Nancy Drew Girl Detective books? That was the 2000s Nancy Drew series. I've read it. About halfway through, I stopped reading it. About halfway through, that series started doing trilogy books, and so I was not very enthusiastic about that. Do I play Pokemon? I've never played Pokemon, actually. I saw the TV show once. I had no idea what was going on, but I'm not really a Pokemon fan. And let me see if there are any more questions. Yep, lots of questions here. I have to keep reloading to see what the questions are. I could put nachos in my burger. Well, that's not a question. Ooh, Roseanne thinks nacho cheeseburgers sound good. Yes, they do. What do I think if all of the Nancy Drew villains banded together? I think that would be very, very dangerous for Nancy. A lot of these villains have tried to kill her in the past. They might try to do it again. Where do I purchase my games from? I purchase the Nancy Drew games. I purchase them directly from the Nancy Drew website, which is herinteractive.com. Other places where you can get them, usually Best Buy, I think, is the only other place nearby. There's no Target or Walmart near me, but I understand they stock Nancy Drew games as well. Do I like Legends of the Hidden Temple? That was an excellent TV show. And I'm probably not going to say what my favorite Nancy Drew villain is, because that would sort of lead to a spoiler territory. So, let me see. I don't think I have any other questions here. What do I think about mathematics? Math is fine. I haven't done math in school because I've been out of school for. Wow. Oh man. Okay. So I've been out of school for at least 6 years at this point. So I haven't had to do math in at least a decade. Well, I mean, I've had to do math, but I haven't had to do, math for school in at least 10 years. So I don't remember any math whatsoever. Okay, so it looks like I'm at the end of the questions. Thank you very much, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this edition of Arglefumph Talk.